Hello, Turner. You probably won't be able to see my head during most of the video. That's all right because the thing that you need to see is my hands, and I'm going to try to position the camera in such a way that that's what's emphasized. So my face is not important here, so if I'm like that and you don't see it, that's okay. So the idea of this video is when I asked you what it was you wanted to learn, you essentially said, well, you know, I want to just play with someone. If someone says, okay, we're doing this in G, want to be able to play along, which is kind of a cool goal. It's kind of an advanced goal, but more on that a little bit later. And the other place where I'm coming from in recording this video in preparation to the DVD series on the cage system I'm sending you, the other thing I keep coming back to is your experience with learning how to pitch baseball. And there's an analogy there with, well, there are a few analogies I'll be making through the video, but I'm going to try to keep this short. So anyway, let me try to demystify the cage system and then kind of warn you against going into the kind of detail that the guy in the DVD is talking about. Want to keep it simple for now. Here's a C chord. And it's the C chord that we all learn. Now, it comes kind of with a scale, the notes of the C chord built in. So right off the bat, that's one key idea of the cage system. You're learning chords, but within each chord is the actual scale. So if you wanted to just kind of wail, if you were doing single string soloing, you would be going up and down the neck. So anyway, when you told me that the thing you wanted to learn was kind of just to play in G, the way I interpret that is play in G anywhere on the neck. I mean, if you try to stick in one position, you're going to be limited, but also you're not going to be able to do exactly what you need to do in different situations because the notes that you need might not be in that position. They might be in another position of the same chord a little bit higher up. So I hope that wasn't confusing, but the whole point of the cage system is that there are 5 different positions to play each chord. And the word caged and the order of the letters comes into play because it's the C position, the A position, the G position, the E position, running out of fingers here, and then the last one is the D position. So you put them all together, it spells caged. So here, and really important, I'm going to be talking about 2 different elements. One is the chord, I'm playing a C chord, and the other is the position, which is kind of like the fingering of the chord. So here's a C chord in C position. And when I say C position, what I mean is that this is the C that everybody learns when they play guitar. Yeah. Now that's C chord, C position. Here's a C chord. Same chord, different inversion, but we're not going to talk about that. And that's the A position, so C, A. And the reason I say it's the A position is, although it's a bar chord, here's the A. The way that most people learn it is like this. But you can bar that and move it up. So if you move it up high enough, here's another C. So here's the C position C and the A position C. And now we get tricky because we got into G, and very few people would, and here's the G position that everyone learns to play. Some people learn it like this. But the idea is even that you can bar, kind of a pain in the butt, but so the C position would be. Now, the reason that nobody is going to play that is this is a kind of pain in the butt. And very rarely will you need all 6 strings. So if you just played the top four, it's really easy to play. It's just this finger covering second, third, and fourth strings, and then the high string taken by your pinky there. Or if you wanted the lowest 4 or 5 strings, you could do it like this. You can't do 5 because how do you get this note? So again, the idea behind this system is sometimes the fingering is not going to give you what you want, and the idea is you just move to another position. Same chord, but a different place on the neck. So we've got the C position, C, the A position, C, the G position, C, or like this, and here's the E position, C. The reason it's called E position is these 3 fingers are the same as what normally people learn to play when they're learning how to play a basic E chord. Again, you know, what most people, if they're fairly accomplished, are going to play an F chord like this. So it's an F chord, but it's a E position F chord, and that's on this fret. So that takes care of the E, and now we're left with only the D position, and this is how everybody learns the D. And you can bar that too, but it's a pain in the butt. You'll notice I did like finger, finger, finger. That's what you do not want to do. You want to like just move your hand and have all the fingers arrive where they're supposed to at the same time. But anyway, here's that, and that's the D. So that completes the word caged. C position, C, C chord, C position, C chord, A position, C chord, G position, or like this if you prefer. Oops. C chord, E position, C chord, D position. The reason that this, by the way, the D position is so tricky is it's just hard to get your fingers to go where they're supposed to go. But for me, it's kind of a moot point because I'm playing mostly jazz-infused stuff, and the major 7th is much easier to play. And in the video, the guy is going to acknowledge that pain in the butt D position is in fact a pain in the butt, and he's going to suggest you play it like a 7th chord, like you would play a D7 here. You can bar that. That only works if you're playing blues. But again, the real tricky part in the way that this applies to single string soloing, just being able to play something off of the top of your head, is that buried within each one of these chord positions is a scale. So here's the C position, C. Here's the C chord, A position. Here's the C chord, G position, or okay, here's the C chord, E position. Here's that ridiculous D position. And back to the C chord, C position, although this is now barred. Okay, and there were actually 2 that I didn't include in that because the cage system is 5 chords. This is going to seem like a weird digression, but let me tell you why the guitar is so unusual. And you said you wanted to get, you know, maybe on stage and just someone says, play something in G and you just wail in G. Maybe the first thing for you to consider is whether or not you want to do it on guitar. Because if you were doing it on piano, if you're going from this C to this C, there's one way to play it. There's one fingering. And that's it. Okay. On guitar, if you wanted to do this C to this C, not jumping octaves, but this specific note to this specific note. Check this out. Here's one. Here's the second. A third, same note. Same note, just different string. Same note. Another. So this is the E position C, and again, the scale that's buried within that chord is, and here's that ridiculous, I'm going to play it as a major seventh. So that's what makes guitar special. With trumpet, with saxophone, with piano, I don't play those instruments, so I hope that I'm giving you accurate information. There's one position, if you will, to play that scale. There's one way to do it. I envy these people, because with guitar, there are 7 different ways to go from this note to this note, and learning each one requires muscle memory. It's kind of, again, like learning to pitch, and I would assume it's like the difference between pitching a fastball and pitching a knuckleball, that you've got to learn them differently, and your muscle memory has to adjust to each variation of that. Now let me give you, and this is getting near the end of this video, a practical application for the cage system. And by the way, what you're going to see me doing a lot is using, I almost left out one of the most important things. Not only do you learn the positions, but once you learn the positions, you can move them anywhere you want. So if here's the C position, which is the place where I would start if I were you, to bar it, you do that. Now, when we talk about bar chords, usually people are looking at covering 5 or maybe even all 6 strings with this first finger, acting kind of like a capo. With this chord, the C position, you only need the top 3 notes covered. So the bar is easier to play because it doesn't have to extend as far. With guitar, you always want to take the path of least resistance within reason. This chord works great. So, and again, I can move it. Here's a C chord, D chord, F chord, G chord. So one way to practice that would be if you're playing, country music. The best definition of country music is 3 chords and the truth. Well, the 3 chords would be C, F, G. But you can play them all in the C position. This would be a good way for you to practice the bar, moving it up, is. One of the tricky parts of this is initially, and there's no way around this, you're going to be going like this. All right, this finger goes here, this finger goes here, boom, 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 boom. When I watch your father play, this is the way that. But the idea is that at some point you're going to have to, all the fingers arriving at the same time. This is going to take a long time. If it was easy, everybody could do it. So, anyway, here's practical application of the song Surfer Girl. And the point that I'm going to make, I'm not going to be doing single string soloing, but I am going to be playing the melody, and the melody is within the chord position. You just need to know which note to play, which string to hit, or whether to put down an extra finger to get like the melody line up where you need it to be. So all simple chords. Sorry about that. So here's an F, E position F, and the next chord is an F2, but the problem is I need that high melody note, and it's too hard for me I've got really small pinkies. So it's a lot easier to just play that C position bar. So again. That's the F in the C position. And this is a regular, like F minor chord. It's like a regular E minor chord, but just barred up. A minor. Okay, now it gets trickier because we're going to the bridge. Now the next chord is an F, but I need to go up because that's the melody line and I don't want to do it like this. So the whole point of the G. So that's that C position, and all the notes that I need are right there in the melody. So that's why I picked this particular position. Here's the G. And again, I picked this because the melody has gone up, so the chord needs to go up so I can find those notes within the chord position. Back to the C. G. Back to C. And again, that F chord with the C position. So this is the C chord barred and moved up 5 frets. 2 more makes it a G. Back to C. Sorry. And here's the D. Now here's the real payoff of the cage system. It goes G, and then it modulates. And when people play this song, they screw it up because they don't do the modulation. And the reason they don't do the modulation is it's so damn hard, because you're not playing in C anymore, you're in C sharp, which is probably the worst key for guitar. But nevertheless, no problem, because I know the cage system. Now let me go back and do that again. We could ride the And here we go with that modulation. G, G sharp, and back to C sharp. See? Same chords I was playing before, so shouldn't try talking, so let me do that again. Because I can play it like that, I can play it anywhere. Without a capo. You know, I was watching a video of James Taylor playing, and he did a chord modulation. He was playing with a capo, and his way of dealing with it is he took the capo and he moved it up, which I've never seen anyone do before, and he did it really well. But the whole idea of the cage system is you won't need to do that if you really learn it. So anyway, the last thing I have to say, I'm not sure if you can see me, is probably the most important, which is when you practice this stuff, the practice itself has to be the goal. You're doing something to escape from real life. Like when I practice, I don't think about Donald Trump. That's the whole point of practicing. In your pitching life, I'm assuming that when you were practicing, the practicing itself was fun. With guitar, if you're thinking of the end goal of, oh, I'm going to be able to play this song, or oh, I'm going to be able to jump on stage and someone will say blues in G and I'll be able to wail on it. Those are wonderful extrinsic goals, but they're secondary to the fact that the practice itself has to be self-sustaining. It has to be something that you really enjoy doing, because that's the payoff for now. You got to be bad at this before you can be good at it. You have certain advantages. You're young, so your brain has more plasticity and you can learn this stuff more quickly. Your hands are stronger, as your forearms are, than mine. You don't have arthritis, which is a huge benefit. But you've got all these advantages, but the disadvantage is that there's no way around it. You're going to have to practice this stuff for hours. And the point is that the practice itself needs to be self-sustaining. If you listen and watch the DVD I'm going to send you, he's going to suggest that every time you do this, you say, okay, this is a C, and it's the root of the note. Okay, now I'm going to move to D, and it's the second of the note. And every time you put your finger down, you're thinking of the note position and its element within the chord. And it would be wonderful. I wish I had learned that, like when I started, but I would never be able to play if I did, because I would have given it up in frustration, because it's just too much. I mean, so when you watch the DVD series, don't worry about what this guy is saying about, every time he gives you a note name, ignore it. You know, the only thing that's really important for you to know is the 5 chord positions: the C position, the A position, the G position, the E position, and the D position, although you won't have to play it like this. You know? But my suggestion is that as a place of starting, just start with that C position and get it to the point where you can do it like this. And getting that down well, if you practice a half-hour a day, will take you months. It would be quicker if you were using another instrument, I think, because, well, I don't want to get too complicated here, but what I'm suggesting is that if the goal is playing music, the only reason you need to do it on a guitar, other than the advantage of you having a guitar, is that you love the sound of the guitar. And you love playing it. If that's the case, stick with the guitar. If you don't feel wedded to the guitar, maybe, because you're still at the beginning stage, like relatively with guitar, maybe pivot to saxophone. Because the idea of just getting on stage and wailing in G, it's going to be a lot easier for you to do on a sax, even if it means learning the sax, than it is to learn it on a guitar. Guitar is more complicated because you've got 7 ways of playing from here to here instead of just one way. But the joy of that is that when you learn to play something, you know, when I learned Over the Rainbow, I did not go to YouTube to find a YouTube lesson on it. I didn't look for the sheet music. I just played the chords and figured out where the melody was, and if I needed to play a different chord to get that melody. Now here's an A minor chord, but I can't play it like this because the note I need is up here. So if I play it like this, I can do that. So again, the thing is, you can move up the neck. This is why we've got a neck. And you know, we're talking about the analogy of baseball, which is a sport. This is a sport too, but your playing field is only a few inches long. But the method of learning how to do this is going to be very similar to the complexity of learning how to pitch well. And it's going to take the same amount of time. If I set out to become a good pitcher and I gave myself a year to do it, I would not expect, and I think you would agree, that I would be very good at the end of a year. I have disadvantages, arthritis, you know, tendon problems with my arms, but still, I mean, it's a lot to learn. People get discouraged with guitar because they think it's going to be easy. It's not easy. you know. But the advantage of dealing with the complexity of the fact that it's not easy is when you get over that initial hump, you're positioned to do exactly what you told me your goal was, which is just play the damn thing. So anyway, this is in preparation for me sending you the DVDs, and when you get them, pay no attention to the guys saying, okay, you've got to learn the note names. You know, it's really important. At one point he says that, almost as an aside. He says, this is what you have to learn, and then he looks at the camera meaningfully and says, it's really important. I'm here to look into the camera meaningfully and tell you, no, it's not. I mean, it is at some point, but not now. Because, again, you don't want anything to interfere with the practice, and you're going to have your hands full learning. So, that's it for now. I sure hope the video came out. I'm going to check it later on, but I'll be sending you the DVD in a couple of days. So, thanks for your attention, and I'll see you later.